Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi and good afternoon.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam, sir.
Salam, sir.
Okay. So to other Muslim, we begin by reciting the Al-Fatihah and Salawat. Bismillah. Okay. Do you have any questions before your quizzes next Wednesday?
Fine, no, sir.
On Wednesday, you come as usual. I will open the system around 2:50. 2:50, you can start doing. 2:30, you do for your attendance. Okay. I cannot open 2:30 because people you're busy for waiting you to join. Okay, you all must join early and scan. When you want to do the quiz, it's up to you. Between 2:50 until 4. Right? So it's your choice. But you need to scan first your attendance, your QR code. Okay. And then at the end of our class, around next week, I will see the attendance report. So whoever attending less than 80%, I will deduct the marks from from your assignment. Okay, so I observe every day class there'll be somebody absent. Definitely around 8 to 10 students were absent. So I will talk to the vice chancellor on academic, Professor Shahimi, to maybe make it a compulsory if next semester online compulsory attendance. Although it's online, it's compulsory, meaning that accounted for your marks or for consideration by the lecturers. Meaning the lecturers can consider marks as part of the evaluation. attendance. Because I observe it's online. Online also you cannot join and scan attendance. It's very bad. You can join the class anywhere you want. You can scan attendance anywhere you want. Right? If you have a use handphone, you can borrow your friend handphone, and you can scan. Right? So anyway you can, but still they want to join. I don't understand why. Right? So it's ridiculous. Huh? It's online. You can do anywhere you want. So still don't want to join. If face to face, you can join because you need to attend the class, show your face. Right? But this one, that's why the issue of force is not there. Mandatory attendance is not there. So it's bad enough for your disciplines. So I will take note on the report of the attendance at the end of the semester. Okay. The other thing is that please take note that quizzes are very time sensitive. right? Time sensitive. When you start opening the quiz, you need to do it to finish it. No such thing as stop for a while, because the time as decided stated has a what put it 10 minutes for one quiz, for example, 10 minutes. So 10 minutes once you open, 10 minutes counted. You finish or not, 10 minutes they will block. So you must remember, it's time sensitive. And why I said 10 minutes, I've told you before, because it's a quiz. But if I give you ample time, you can open the slide and answer the question well. So that's why you need to read and then memorize. Okay? That's why time is a factor there. Kalau you buat essay lain, essay quiz, is ample time also, right? Never mind, you can write and also can observe. I know most of you, if online quiz or whatever, you need your books or your slide just beside you, right? Okay, that's why time is a factor. So please read and memorize and understand. You have any questions on the quizzes? Any question?
No, sir.
No, sir.
On the slide, okay? Any question on the slide that given to you? Any question on the slide?
No, sir.
Be good.
No, sir. So far, no. But, sir, actually, I have an opinion. I don't know either that one is correct or not, but I explain the situation first, sir, see how. On this 18 until 20, most of our submission are on 20 for the assignments.
Yeah. What?
So-
19?
19, 18 until 20. So most of the assignment submission are on that particular dates. So quizzes are having a limited time. So we have to read the notes and also memorize. So feel like we don't have much time to do that. So sir can consider about it, sir.
Meaning that the submission is
Uh,
when? Wait, I open.
submissions until 20, sir. So if we having a 2 days gap like that, at least we have a time to read the notes before the quiz.
Wait, Due date 20 January, right?
Yes, sir.
So what do you want? What do you wish?
Maybe 22, sir.
22.
Yes, sir. If everyone agree lah.
Everyone agree or not? Not agree, I can entertain.
Agree, sir.
Agree, sir.
Agree, sir.
Agree, sir.
I put auto submit lah. Jadi kalau ada butang submit kan, kalau kadang-kadang sistem ni kita tahu, tapi I put auto submit lah. Okay, kalau auto submit dia automatic kan. should be no problem. So yang problem ni kalau kena submit. So submission tu you cannot submit on the last minute. They're not counted for. So that's why I changed to the auto submit. So automatic when you finish you submit. But don't delay lah.
Sir, saya nak tanya sebab saya risau masa jawab quiz kan. Masa tu loading bukan internet kami ada masalah, mungkin sistem dia lambat. So saya risau nanti 10 minit tak cukup. Dia loading lambat kan. Soalan satu lompat ke soalan dua dia loading lambat. Bolehkah doktor terus set satu soalan dalam satu page? Tak perlu lompat soalan macam tu. Satu soalan.
Oh, satu soalan tu 10 satu page 10 questions.
Oh, satu page 10 question.
Right?
Alright, thank you.
So there will be 5 pages lah because 50 questions.
Sebab risau nanti dia loading.
Lambat lah kan. Because I think maximum is 10 right? Maximum pages lah. Per page, per question, per page is I think 10. So I already go maximum. Right? If you have a problem with your data, please for a while, for the quizzes, you go to find a place that is higher. I mean the data or the signal or the data is higher, is faster lah. Right? Maybe half an hour and you go, or you pinjam rumah kawan ke ataupun your auntie ke, right? Okay. So on that day you hopefully don't have any problem lah. Because this is a quiz, online quiz. Once you open it, it's difficult to stop. Right? They must continue until the 10 minutes. That's why you must hopefully the process is clear for you all. Right? It's difficult. I did before. I give a few days for you all to do it. Around the 4 or 5 days, you can choose any days. Right? All the 4 quizzes. But happen that there are many cases that they cannot access lah, slow lah, because I don't know why. Previously, before I do that, I set time during class time. So all must do it. At this time to this time only 10 minutes. All must do it at one time. That time. Right? So less problem. If they allow, like I did before, give you for 1 week to do all the quizzes, they have problem. Sepatutnya yang itu tak ada problem, tapi terbalik kenapa tak tahu. Right, so that's why I set the date on Wednesday, 2 quizzes. Right, 2 quizzes, 100 questions. Both lah. So time spent 2 quizzes, 30 minutes only. One is 10 minutes, one is 12 minutes. So you should have a gap lah kan. That's all. So if you have problem with your data online at your home, at your house or at your place, make sure you find another one that is faster. Half an hour only. No need to do the whole day. Okay, because time for your quiz is 2:50 until 4. Right. So you want what date, Danisha?
22, sir. 22 January.
Danisha always ask for many wishes, but I always grant the wish. Okay. So never mind. I follow your wish. Hopefully others will be thankful to you. So 23rd marking. Right? So I extended the submission for second assignment until 22nd of January. Okay? Happy? See? Due date. See?
Thank you, Doctor.
Happy?
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Any more question regarding the quiz? Like I told you before, I won't entertain any problem arise. Let's say some of you say, I say I do, but I cannot. I submit, but not in the online. That one I can entertain. All right. So hopefully you also pray to God that everything is fine for you to do the quiz and to submit. Because if I entertain, there's be many problems. I need to be fair to others. If I entertain one, I need to entertain all. Right. So it's a headache. So I mentioned to you, if possible, you try to find places that the data is good. Right. Kejap saja, setengah jam saja. Bukan satu hari. Okay. And these quizzes will make all your marks different from others because it's individual. Most of your assignment and your top, I think most of that full mark, provided the report is good, right? In terms of the stock section, it's okay, it's good. The report, you need to submit all the information I request for, and you follow the format. Then you do that, all the 10 marks there. Right, the 10 marks, extra 10 marks, I thought to give you quiz today, right? But it's okay. I cancel that one. So I take the one you do in the class task. In the class task, usually I observe all a good guy, and I mean because you can observe and look and discuss with your friends. Okay, so first assignment and second assignment to look how hopefully all good marks for the assignment. The quizzes will decide what is your end marks, total marks. Okay, that's why you need to read the slide. Okay, it's all on the slide, right? That's why I cannot give a longer time. If you can look at the slide and answer the question, all got full mark. Okay, and so the time given 10 minutes, you have no time to look 50 questions. If you skip the question and look for the slide, you won't get enough time to finish all. And so that is the catch. Time is a factor. So when you start, you go on finish everything. 10 minutes only. Okay. So good luck. Read your slide. Okay. Hopefully, good marks for the quizzes. But I will tell you, quarter of you will fail. This is based on my statistic before. A quarter of you will fail. Okay. A few will fail all quizzes. A quarter will fail one or two quizzes. Right? So be careful. Read. Don't ignore my advice. It's easy question was already in everything in the slide, but sometimes you don't read and you forget about what you read, right? What you read. So that's a problem. To try to memorize it well. Okay, to continue the class with we stopped where we stopped last week. It's about IMO number. It's about ship registrations, right? So every ships need to have IMO number. So what kind of ships? There are the categories of weight and ship purpose. All commercial ships must have IMO numbers, right? IMO number needed a method to enhancement the prevention of maritime fraud. So why this thing is important to have so that they can trace and monitor the ship owner or the ship's registrations and the ship informations, right? So that they can able to identify problematic ships faster, right? Even that also there exists ghost ships, whereby they register the ship based on a company and don't know who own the company. A company is a company without any without any owner is useless. You cannot take action on them because you don't know the owner. And the owner is a company. So company belong to whom? Don't know. Why had that happen? Because of the registrations. Registrations, they make it an area in country that is less, what they call it, not so particular on this information. More loose in terms of restrictions and regulations. It happens. As per SOLAS regulations, all ships are required to show this IMO number on a permanent basis, marked in a visible place either on the ship's hull or superstructure. Okay, at the stern of the ship, or the ship hull, or the superstructure. Superstructure of a ship is the bridge of the ship, the bridge, the control center, control room, the main building that's standing on the ships. That station, the control tower, that station, all the lodging and facilities, amenities for the crew, right, to stay, and for the crew to live there. So that is the main structure. And the main structure building will lead directly to the engine. The engine is under the main structure building, so that the engineer, the technical person, the crew can access the engine direct from there. The superstructures, the operation room, right? So that it should be the way lah. So the numbers should be stated clearly either on the hull of the ship, on the superstructure, or at the stern of the ship. Which one is viable is up to the ship owner lah. The main thing is that it can be seen from far. The numbers can be seen from far. Right? And everybody can see the number of the IMO numbers from far. Right? The ship IMO numbers, everybody can see it from a distance. So that any problem, they can detect the number and find the owner and find the registrations of the ships. As it deals with human life, for sake of quick response, passenger ships are required to display this number on a horizontal surface which would be visible from the air. Maybe for passenger ships, the IOM number is stated towards the air, towards the sky, so that when the help ataupun SARS punya effort, anything problem with the ship passenger, usually they will come with helicopter, you can see the numbers, the IOM number. Or even they come with a boat, they can see at the stern of the ships the number. So this number is important, so that we can identify the name of ships. Remember, I show you the Marine Insight apps of location of ships. They can even give them the ship names because based on the IMO number, right? Okay. The unique number with the prefix IMO followed by a 7-digit number is assigned to the ship upon construction and is currently administered by ISS Maritime. Right? When you have registered your ships, engage a contract with the company that build the ships, right? The number will be produced by ISS Maritime, right? Any self-propelled sea-going merchant ships of 100 gross tonnage and above upon key laying needs to have the IMO numbers, right? So mana-mana merchant ships, commercial ships, the 100 gross tonnage and above, right? So need to have IMO number. Below types are excluded. Any merchant ship that 100 tonnage and above weight need to have the IMO number. Excluded, do not include these ships. Ship without mechanical means of propulsion, macam sail, use sail, not use engine. Yacht, pleasure yacht, personal yacht lah, private yacht. Ship engaged on special services like sail vessels, light ships, special purpose ships. Hopper barges, hopper barges ni tongkang lah. Tongkang don't need IMO numbers. Tongkang ni kalau you tengok, you understand the word tongkang, you refer to the Chinese barge. Old Chinese barge, not like that. Tongkang barges is quite big nowadays. It's like a ship, but the purpose is different. Not to sail between port to port. Barges is been used with the purpose to help mobilizations of cargo within the port or within the port already hinterland through rivers. Hydrofoils are all air cushion vehicles categorized by what they call it, hovercraft, air cushion vehicles like hovercraft. Hovercraft, hydrofoil, speed boat lah. They're floating on the air, on the surface of the sea water if they go at high speed. That one no need. Floating docks and structure classified in a similar manner. Floating docks ni macam ONG drilling facilities. Drilling facilities, dredgers that want to make the port deeper, right? So that's one, no need IMO numbers. Ships of war and troop ships and military ships, meaning that Navy ships no need to register by to IMO, right? This is for the purpose of war, of war. So no need to register with IMO. Only merchant ships that weight 100 gross tonnage and over that need to be registered. And mechanically driven, meaning that use engines. Okay. Wooden ships. Wooden ships usually fishermen, fishing ships. Fishing ships usually they use wooden ships. You can see at the jetty, fishing jetty, you can see their boats. Their boat or even ships for deep sea fishing. Mostly you use wooden ships. Wooden, kayu punya. What is the reason? I don't know. Maybe affect. I don't know. Maybe why they use wooden ships. And still today they still use wooden ships. But big deep sea fishing ships use normal ships, metal ships. As compared, it's different between local fishing ships and fishing ships that belong to other countries, for example, like Japan, Korea, right? Even mostly China, Japan, and Korea, they use big ships for deep sea fishing. That's why they travel far away from their hometown, from their jetty to find fishes. Okay, so they find big fishes, a lot of fish to keep it to be stored in the ships. That's why the ship is bigger. They go out and fishing for 1 month, and then come back with full load of ships. They can fish only at international waters, not in PP. What do you call it? coastal waters of any countries or even EEZ waters. They cannot. That is belong to the fishing of the local people. So if you observe, compare Malaysian fishing boat are are wooden, mostly wooden based, as compared to their fishing boats, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Koreans, right? These people are very what they call it, dependent on on fishes and seafood for your livelihood. They seldom eat meat. They more on fish. So like Japan is right because you can see the sushi food based on fish. Seldom meat. But Malaysians, Asians, everything they like to eat meat. Fish, yes, but not so much. That's why the deep sea fishing in Malaysia is not what developed. It's not developed as a focus industry. Because protein supply we take from meat and lamb, but fish just to support this thing. We can take meat and poultry for the protein for Malaysians. Fish is second supporting this poultry and meat supply. But for in Korean, Indian and in Korean, Chinese and Japanese, fish is the main thing. Although they have a very good meat supply of Wagyu, but they prefer more on fish. That's why they stay healthy. You can see in Okinawa, the people living there is more than 90 to 100 years old, right? Because of the food they eat. Okay. So these are the ships that have been excluded from IMO. Right? So IMO numbers focus on the commercial ships only, merchant ships, and driven by the engines, combustion engines or mechanical engines. But nowadays, in future, they have introduced uh, sailing ships for cargo. When you talk about sailing ship, you remember the sailing ship before, right? What a small ship that use sail to move the ships. Okay, but now it's different. Although the concept is the same, they use sails to move the ships, but they include high technologies in terms of sailing, and they have bigger ships that can carry many more cargoes. This is to fulfill the sustainability of shipping to the environment, to protect the environment. Yeah, okay. So big fishing vessel, passenger vessel, merchant, anything that refer to merchant, commercial, passengers, and also cargo. Fishing vessel, if you go big scale, like let's say for example deep sea, big ships, also need to register because when you go for deep sea shipping, definitely you go for commercial shipping, right? The registration grants the ship physical and legal protection of the flag of state, which may be applied to vital areas such as safety of cargo, life of those on board the ship. So registration of ships reflect back the special privilege if the ships going to the port that govern the registration of the ships. For example, like you register the ships in Malaysia, so you have the flag of convenience for ports in Malaysia, right? So these are the things that uh, have some mileage on the registration places that you choose in terms of lack of convenience, in terms of taxations, right? Although you are the owner of the ship, you are Malaysian, but you registered in Panama, so you are subject to Panama regulations, regulation in terms of the carrier and also the operations of the carrier, right? So that's why it's important to have what do you call it, to register your ship in the place that preferable to you. Okay. So doesn't mean that I told just now. It doesn't mean that ship needs to be registered under country's own flag. Although the ships you are from China, from Malaysia, the ship doesn't mean that you need to register in Malaysia. For example, a British ship need not be registered mandatorily under the British flag or UK ships. It may be registered with registers other than the British registry. Same like Malaysian also, Malaysian ships. You can register in anywhere in the world, based on the preferable choices of the owner of the carrier. Right? What are the things that they do for? Many aspects. But the most important thing is the taxation structure, the taxations. Right? Some countries are very loose in the taxations. That's why you have people register the ship in Panama, in a country that is what they call it, known for not so strict in terms of regulations and instructions or registrations. Right? Mm. But sometimes people like to register in the same place as where they are. Like British, they register in British, right? But not necessary. That is for patriotism, meaning that we are British, we are Malaysian, we must register the ship in Malaysia. But some of the owner of the ships think about other things. They think about benefit to them, in terms of structure of taxations, in terms of security for them. So they prefer to choose to register to other places. So it depends on the choice of the owner. So when the ship registered, so you have the operation number of the ship. Operation number is different from IO number. If the ship changes its ports of registrations, then there will be a different operation number, whereas the IMO number stays the same. You remember I told you about the biggest tanker in the world? What is the name? I lupa nama dia. Norwegian names. They okay. You through the chronological history of the ship, is the biggest tanker in the world. They have many names, right? So ships can be re-registered again if they got a new owner, right? But the number IMO still maintain the same. For example, like the tanker, first initially is from China. China tycoon on shipping bought it at the construct it. Then they sell to Norwegian. They change the name and register in Norwegians. Then the number of registration is changed according to the port where they registered, the place where they registered. Then sell again, a new owner, have new names again, and then register again to a new place, have new numbers. So these numbers, registration numbers, keep on changing based on the new owner or based on the process of selling and buying of the ship. But the IMO number maintained the same, right? So these are the freedom of guiding principle of the law of the sea. Law of the sea as per this principle. So under the law of the sea, a ship of any nation can navigate the ocean freely. This is the law of the sea, international law of the sea. So any ships of any nations can navigate the ocean freely, right? The ship's national state has exclusive dominion over the ships. In that the ship national state has exclusive dominion of the ships, meaning that the ship is governed by the national states that the ship been registered to, right? And then no other nations can exercise dominance over the ships. No other nation. You are free to move in the ocean anywhere you want to go. But in international waters, you are free to move. But when you're accounted to coastal waters, you need to have permission from the country involved. Last week, there's a case whereby Malaysian authorities summon or compound ships because they harbored at the coastal waters without asking permission. Dia saman, dia bayar denda lah, saman. Because the ship is in the Malaysian coastal waters, but they don't inform the authorities that they will harbored at the place, or they will stop at the place for a while. They just stop, but it's been found by the authorities, and they don't ask any record, no record of any asking permission, so they will summon the owner of the operators and the owner of the ship. And the amount is not cheap, it's come to 100,000s, right? So be careful. Although the principle of law of the sea, you can travel anywhere you want to go in the ocean, but when you need to stop and do some loading or unloading or do some husbandry process services, you need to have permission. And the permission granted with a fees as compared with a summon. If you don't get the permission, you still want to harbor or to stop at the in the foreign waters, you need to you need to pay for the parking fees, harboring fees. But if you don't get any permission, you'll be charged. So you'll be summoned with tickets that amounted more than the parking fees, right? Ataupun the harboring fees. So that's why it's important to have good communications with the authorities if you are in the coastal waters of the country, right? And these are normal scenario or normal cases whereby a ship captain must keep on communicating with ports of call that they are planned to go. Maybe, for example, they leave Dubai port to go to Port Klang. Along the way, which port they are going to go through, the closest port. They will keep informing the authorities that they were there. They will go to Klang port, right? They will inform all the port authorities that they will go through, right? Not necessarily that they make a port of call at their ports, but they inform the authorities that they are there, so that if anything happen to them, the port authorities, the nearest port authorities know which ships are reporting to them and close to their port. So in any mishap happens, they can activate the search and rescue team and locate the ship closely, correctly. And the closest SARS will go to find the ships. The closest SARS team will go. So it depends on which port is the most closer to you. So that you need to report every port that you've gone through. Although you don't stay at the port, you don't make that airport of course, but you've gone through them, the route is according to that road. So you need to inform the nearest authority. This is for security reasons and safety reasons. Same like aircraft also. Once the aircraft departure from KLIA towards London, so based on their routes where they go, they must inform the next airport that they are there. They are up there at the port area, right? Airport area. And then they go through and then to another airport, they inform the airport then. Although they don't stop to the airport, but they go through, bypass the airport, they need to inform the airport. Right? So that the whole journey is well monitored by most of the airports in the world, based on the route they choose. right? So when anything happens, they can identify where is the aircraft and send the process SAS team to help. So maybe the process is in Medan ke ataupun in Dubai ke, although your aircraft is going to UK, London, but it cross Dubai, and you inform Dubai, suddenly at Dubai your flight has been problem, and then the SAR team from Dubai will go and help because you have notified them the closest airport, right? And then aircraft is much more complicated because they has the layer of height that they must go on through. Meaning that your flight should descend at this level, 35,000 feet. That is your level. You don't go below or go up because different level, different aircraft will maintain that one. So to avoid collision of aircraft, you just imagine the sky is very big, but still happen cases of aircraft collision. Why? Because of technical error. Okay, you cannot see in from your windscreen what jalan clear dah for aircraft tak boleh. You need to be guided either from radar or from the authority, air traffic control. Same like maritime, need to be guided. Although you have your own radar, but sometimes you need to be advised by the port authorities, right? Port control, port operators, port operators control. It's ridiculous. You think the sea is very big, open, but accidents between ships happen, right? Sometimes it's not logic, but it's happening. Why? Because of technical error and navigational error, right? So it's happened. Itu maritime and air transport pun ada collision accident. Kalau road apa lagi kan? Road lagi teruk kan? Too many users are sharing the same way, the same road. Definitely there will be much more accident lah as compared to air, maritime and air transport. Yang tak ada accident, logically it should be rail, right? Because rail is you based on one track, and there also happen collision, right? Why? Because error in terms of operating the traffic flow. One track you share with many coaches, many locomotive. One track, you must remember one track. You depend on one track. One go up, one come down. Where does they meet? They must meet at the middle to change track, right? So that no collision happening. And the timing is very important. So about the signaling affect the timing of the trail. Just imagine, right? If you have double track, it's much more safer. Double track, right? But double track also you need to be more cautious because you cannot allow the train to meet together at a high speed. Cannot. So you need to once one train need to slow down. The other train can have high speed, but the other train must slow down. If not, there will be pressure in the middle, and everybody the train will disperse from the track. There's no physics, nah. Faham tak? Bila dia buat high speed, and this high speed selisih, they will create vacuum in the middle. Then accident can happen. That's why when they come to parallel or in Malay the selisih, one must slow down, or even sometimes the one must stop. So this thing happen. So we talk about transportation. You cannot run away from understanding some physics in terms of the modes. The logistic aspect, I think more on applications and management. But for transportation mode, you need to understand some basic engineering or physics. Right. Ship registry is administered by the Marine Department of Malaysia by 5 ports of registry. So in Malaysia, there are 5 ports, 5 places whereby you can register your ships. In Port Klang, in Penang Port, KK, Kuching, and Labuan. Okay. These are the 5 ports of registry in Malaysia. 3 in the Borneo Island, 2 in the peninsula. Ni Malaysian ship owner, we invite right at this time. Malaysian ship, kita invite kan, Malaysian Ship Owners Association MASA was established in 1976 with the objective of protecting and promoting the interests of Malaysian ship owners. MASA has a central role to play in the development of the shipping industry in the country. Currently, MASA has 104 ordinary members and 257 associate members. So MASA is Maritime Malaysia Ship Owners Associations. Right. In Port is Malaysia, there are 7 federal ports, namely Port Klang, Johor Port, PTP Port, Kuantan Port, Penang Port, Bintulu Port, Kemaman Port. Meanwhile, in Sabah Sarawak are under jurisdiction of state government of Sabah Sarawak. So all the ports in Peninsula mostly is owned by the federal government, controlled by federal government, then operated by private sector. So not all ports have the privilege of having FTZ. You know FTZ? What is FTZ? Who knows?
Free trade zone, sir.
Huh? Free trade zone. Free trade zone. Most ports around the hinterland of the ports are FTZ area. Meaning that area is free trade zone, meaning no taxes, no duties involved. You're operated in the area, right? This is to encourage or expedite the development of industry around the area. Like in Penang, FTZ in Penang should be in Seberang Perai area near the port and also in Bayan Lepas area, right? If you go to Bayan Lepas area, we want to enter the FTZ. There's a security in the entrance of the area, security by the police and also by the customs. So that is the purpose of FTZ, to encourage industry growth. Industry growth based on the logistic aspect, or even based on the manufacturing aspect. Port Kuantan have FTZ. Port Kuantan, they got FTZ last 2-3 years ago, right? Penang Port ada FTZ. Kemaman Port no FTZ, I think. Tanya Pelepas, yes, there's an area there. Port Klang pun sama. Johor Port is Pasir Gudang Port. Johor have 2 ports. So one is container port, PTP. One is bulk cargo port, the Pasir Gudang Port. Initially, the initial one is the Pasir Gudang Port, bulk cargo port. Now Pasir Gudang focus on, previously they focus on palm oil, but they have also another port for ONG in Johor at Pengerang. So maybe it's what they call it, a bunker port in Pengerang. Okay, that's why Johor have many industries, because of the port activities is quite active. They have 2 major ports plus the Pengerang 3, and most of the ports have FTZ, grant with FTZ new area. So they encourage investors to come and invest there because they get exemptions from tax and duty. So they profit more, they get profit without any tax. So it's some encouragement for them to invest, FDI to come in, right? That's why most of your seniors are staying in Johor and Penang because of the industry there, the logistics sector there is good. Okay, administration of ports. Port are legislated under the Port Acts. Port authority was established to govern the following major port. This is port authority. And port authority govern the operation of the port. Govern the port based on following the rules of law. But operation day-to-day basis is privatized. Right? Port authority to observe the port operation is being properly done according to rule of law. Right? So these are the port authorities. Penang Port Commission, Port Kelang Authorities, Johor Port Authority, Kuantan Port Authority, Kemaman, Melaka Port pun ada. Teluk Ewa Port ni I think in Lumut I think lah if not mistaken Bintulu Port. These are the port that works under the Port Authority Act 1963. Okay, Penang je lain. Penang Port Commission is 1955. It's earlier because Penang Port is established earlier than other ports. And these are the privatizations of the port operators. So operation of major port has been privatized. So why there is port authority and there is port operators? Well, port authorities to observe, to ensure that the port being governed by according to the law, port authority laws act. But the port operation they need to privatize because to make sure the operation efficient and effective. Right? That's why there are many port operators. Right? In Port Kelang, there's North Port, South Port, West Port, Johor Port, Berhad, Kuantan Port Consortium, PTP Port, right? Penang Port Berhad. So these are commercial, these are privatized organizations that run the ports, Port authority that govern the port and make sure the port is according to the laws, Port Authorities Act. That run the port is a private sector. Make sure the private sector run the port according to the law, right? But there are some some they call it allowance for the operators, the private sector to operate the port freely, so that they can make decisions themselves. They can make more effective and efficient services provided to the ship, so that the efficiency rate of the port increase. And when this increase, they will create more demand for ships to use the port because it's very efficient. So need to provide more services to the port, right? So the most important thing is the port is safe. Safe from what? Safe from natural disaster, like safe from typhoon, safe from any disaster. So that port is very strategic. For example, like PTP port, like Singapore port, right? So they are secluded and the strategic location. So they are more safer and easy to access. That is what they call it, strategically located to be the hub of the maritime Singapore port, kan? Because they're located at the end of the peninsula and between Route Selat Melaka of South China Sea and even the Indonesian Sea. So they in the middle. That's why Singapore and well managed by people, professional people, so that you can see Singapore, although without any resources. Singapore have no resources, natural resources. No ONG, oil and gas, no anything. No minerals, no rubber, no tin, nothing. Just the location of the port itself only. But based on the location, Singapore can turn to be one of the developed country of the world, right? One of the richest country in the world. Just imagine that. Until now, Singapore still top, right? Malaysia previously, but now it's going slowing because of the political turmoil. Right? Just imagine one country have four or three prime minister in one term. So what happened to the country? Our country, people are going planning for futures. We are planning to who want to be the next PM now. That one is very bad. No? Because of that, Indonesia is coming up. Huh? Indonesia is coming up better than us. We are lacking that in 2020, 2018 to 2025, 24. We are lacking that. Huh? Still what? Hoping for a new PM, new government. That's very bad. Huh? Right? So this happened in Malaysia. Hopefully this will stop and the leaders will think about the future of the country and the future of you all, your generation. You're still young. What happened to the country nowadays? All the good prices are going up. Salary is not going up. So what happened in future? We don't know. Even salary wise, Malaysia is the lowest. In terms of logistics sector, Singapore is the highest. Singapore punya yearly income for logisticians around 300,000 to 500,000 Singapore dollar income dia. Registration. Malaysia 100,000 only. You see the difference comparison, and the price goods getting higher and higher. That is logistics sector. What about other sectors? Right. Can you imagine now? You can observe the price of goods is getting higher and higher all the time. Coming New Year is getting much more higher. The raw food supplies, right? And then after New Year is Hari Raya, then it's getting higher lagi. Crazy, eh? So need to do something about it. You can have a high prices of good, but provided people have a stronger purchasing power to buy it. That one is okay. What happened is that good price higher, but purchasing power getting lower and lower. That is very bad for the economy, right? And the disparity of income, perbezaan pendapatan antara yang kaya dan yang sederhana dan yang rendah terlampau jauh. It's too far. The disparity, the difference. So it's very bad. You cannot have a country that only for the rich. Cannot. The rich usually are the bosses, right? Who want to do the job. So you must pay equivalently according to the market now. The market is inflation is high. Inflation meaning that the price good index is higher, right? The difference you can see offhand. You buy today one tin of milk, okay, condensed milk, ataupun sardine cak ayam, previously less than 10 ringgit, now nearly 20 ringgit each. Okay, just crazy. You just imagine, right? So you all have money, don't spend so much. Keep it for your food. For future, we don't know. Right? So that's about it. So the mid-term support privatization concession as I follow. So privatization for port, they give concession. Concession means that they allow them to operate. Initially, it should be under authorities. The government should operate it, but it's slow because full of red tape. So you cannot do that. People dealing with industry, with business, they want fast decisions, effective, efficient process. If you're slow, full of red tapes, bureaucratic procedures, then people will go away from your port. Your port, nobody want to use. Then you are lost. So that's why they give concession to privatization. Concession means they allow them to operate freely, right? Right? They are allowed to operate freely. So the concession based on land are leased to the operators. The three area of the land of the port is belong to government. It's a prime land, but they allow the authority, the private sector to lease it lease from the government and run the business. Operation license given to them to run the port operations. Operator responsible for the development of port expansions. So operators govern all. So they are free to govern ataupun to operate the port in terms of they can plan what they want to do with the port. They can have the land leased to them by the government. They can have a license to operate, and they can make money out of it. The most important thing is that the money, lah. Right? Without money, without the benefit of money, profit, nobody want to operate. So they are free to operate, and they're free to get the profit. That's why make them very keen to operate on port. Okay, that's the reason. These are the like airport at the code KLKUA, right? For you, if you you try to take a flight, the code for KLIA is Kuala Lumpur is KUA. These are the code for ports. This one is for your extra information. Penang MYP, and this type is MY. Malaysia. There are many ports in Malaysia. Some are small, some are big. Cabotage policy, like I mentioned before to you, is a policy that to protect the industries, local industries. So, what does this cabotage policy do with the local maritime business development? Is they are ensuring that when the transshipment of cargo from foreign ships at the local ports, the transshipment of cargo from foreign ships to other destinations in Malaysia or other ports in Malaysia should be done through local ships only. So foreign ships cannot take the transshipment cargo. So they must download it at the port, and the next spot in Malaysia should be used local ships. They should use local ships to move the transshipment from Port Penang to Port Klang, for example, to Port Kuantan, to Port Bintulu or whatever. So from port to port in Peninsula, they must use local ships, local registered ships. So help MASA, Malaysian Ship Operator, Ship Owner Association, help MASA to build up their business. Right? Although the cost of moving the cargo from port to port in Malaysia is cheaper if they use the foreign ships, but it's not been allowed. That's why this cabotage protect lah. Kalau tak habis lah, ahli-ahli masa akan marah lah. Kan? Jadi kita Malaysian ownership nak buat apa? Kan semua been handled by the foreign cargo ships. It's because it's cheaper. Cheaper in terms of because the magnitude they carry is higher, so they can achieve the economy of scale of carrying the cargo. But once the cargo been downloaded to the ataupun been shipped from the ship to the port, then it will much more costlier to engage with local ships and to move around in the country. But is the only way that the country need to help their own ships associations, ship owner. Right? It happens in many countries, not only Malaysia. The protective act to protect the industry is happening in most countries of the world. So no such thing as totally supply and demand punya process. No. Sometimes government need to intervene to ensure the market industry growth in the country. Even Indonesia, like remember the speaker talk, the cabotage policy in Indonesia is much more detailed, much more comprehensive as compared to Malaysia, right? Because Malaysia and Indonesia covers a very wide geographical area of the country, right? Indonesia is more than us, but we are more than Singapore. So Singapore actually they have a cabotage policy, but in other ways, protection of the countries, industry. They don't have any. Don't have many ports. Their port is only Singapore port. That's it. But they have some act that protect the industry also to ensure that the businesses that the ships carrying to the port is being utilized at the port. It's been value add at the port. You just imagine that's why they come the mentions of third party, fifth party, sixth party logistics. Not only involving of distributions, not only involving of packaging, but also on value add the industries. From raw material, the process to be many other products. That is what happening in Singapore, and that is how Singapore make money, other than transshipment, other than interport. So that is why Singapore is becoming among the richest country in the world. Same like Hong Kong. Hong Kong established because of this transshipment activities and also for value add activities, right? But now Hong Kong is slowing down because of China port is getting all the business. Okay, that's happening in Japan. Japan also, although Japan is a big country, but their resources are limited. But they become the rich country in the world, among the rich country in the world because of this kind of activities, right? And China is harping on this, right? So we Malaysians should go for that for this also, but we are lacking, right? Because we let concentrations on this, because government focusing other things. You just imagine what can the government do if the government keep on changing, right? Talking about position all the time. So what the repercussion of it is the country suffer. Kesan dia adalah negara akan masalah. So Malaysia cannot afford any mistakes. Malaysia is a small country and highly dependent on FDI, on trading. Kalau tak jaga memang masalah, right? And then our competitors is many around us. Indonesia is our competitors in terms of getting FDI. Right? Indonesia getting more FDI than us now. Right? So we must think about this strategically. But if our leaders keep thinking the other way around, so I'm sorry to say that is problem for us in future. Okay. Ni buat cabotage policy. EEZ, economic zones. Exclusive economic zone is the zone that a sea zone that prescribed by UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, over which a state has special rights regarding the exploration and use of marine resources, including production of waters and wind, and also the sea punya produce. Okay, coastal countries are given up to 370 kilometers beyond the shores, in which they alone have right to utilize maritime resources. So these are the EEZ. EEZ. Okay, 200 nautical miles, 370 kilometers from our country's own coastline. 300 kilometer ke depan daripada pantai. That's EEZ. Okay. Like Malaysia and Singapore are very close, right? So overlapping of EEZ happen. So this need to be rectified with mutual understanding for each other. That's why the case of Pulau Batu Putih, Perda Bangka punya island, Batu Putih Island in Singapore and JB, in Johor, been dispute between Malaysia and Singapore because it's close to Johor and close to Singapore. But by right, the physical closeness is with Johor rather than Singapore, right? But Singapore have won the case in International Court of Law to own the Batu Putih. Batu Putih is no island. It's batu only. Batu for the for the lighting for the ship operators. You can see that there's a stone there, so to avoid the area so that they won't hit the stone. That is batu putih. But once you conquer you have the what obsession, possession of the island, the area around the island also is yours. That's why Malaysia want to dispute. That one also have many issue lah. So that the mutual understanding. These things are very sensitive. Without proper dealing with this matter, it can turn to war between two countries. So be careful. So that's why Singapore said it's theirs because all the while they put their things there. Malaysian authorities that ignore it. They just don't bother about it. So they assume that it's theirs. No? So when come to Court of International Court, after they listen all these arguments, they awarded to Singapore. Singapore have the right to on the islands. Malaysia got the Pisang Island, Pulau Pisang, near the Batu Putih. That one give to Malaysia because Malaysia have authorities on that.
Sir,
Wait. Okay, so that's the why is important to deal with if it involve other countries because the overlapping exists. So you can read this one. Anything of 4 o'clock already? Any questions?
so far okay, sir.
No, sir.
No questions, sir.